In this tutorial, we're going to create a Moodle drag and drop marker question type. So go to your settings block, go to your question bank, and select questions. I'm just going to pick chapter 1 for my category, and then I'll select to create a new question. In the choose question type to add box, you're going to select the drag and drop markers question right here. And you'll click it and then say next. Of course, a question name and some instructions as well as default marks will be useful. Okay, so I have my question name, some instructions, which is optional, and my default mark. Now scrolling down, the first thing you need to do is select your background image. You can either drag it over here or you can just choose it from a file. When your image appears, you're going to notice that it's on graphed paper, and that's so it will help you as you have to plot your drop zones. Notice that it is 400 pixels deep. There's 4 blocks, if you can kind of see those marks right here. There's 4 sections down and 600 pixels across. And again, if you can notice, there's 6 areas. So there's 600 across and 400 down. Your image cannot be larger than that, and you are limited to that. So with your background image in there, scroll down to your markers section, and in the markers section is where you can enter your words. And there are 7 continents, but I only have 6 markers. There is a button for blanks for 3 more markers that you can select. With all of your markers set, scroll back up to the drop zones. And now you can make your drop zone a circle, a polygon, or a rectangle. In this particular tutorial, I'm going to use the rectangle. For drop zone 1, I'm going to set it to North America. For this section right here, you're going to give it the coordinates of where your point should be at, where your drop zone should be located, as well as how big the drop zone should be. So the first thing you want to do is tell it where your drop zone is. So for North America, you're going to first tell it on the x-axis how far in you want it to go from the edge. And I'm thinking just a little bit because North America is right here. So I'm going to tell it about 10, maybe 20 for my x-axis. And then the y-axis is how far down do you want it to go. So I'm going to tell it maybe about 30 because I want my drop zone kind of high, and I'll show you why. So I'm just going to go 10, 30, which tells the computer go in 10 pixels and down 30 pixels. Okay, it hasn't listed it yet, but that's okay. Semicolon, and then after the semicolon, you tell it how big a box, and we'll just start with a 100, 100. So what we have here is how far in from the left, how far down from the top, and then a colon, and how big you want the box. And if it doesn't plot it right away, there it goes. But if it didn't do that right away, I would have clicked refresh preview. Now from looking at this, I want to point out to you that this 10 and 30 represent the upper left-hand corner of your drop zone. So with my 10 and 30, with my upper left-hand corner right here at 10 pixels in and 30 pixels down, I can now adjust it because I know 100 by 100 box is not nearly going to be enough. So I'm going to change that to about 150 by 200. Now I'm guessing here. Oh, now that doesn't look too bad. So that is a pretty decent drop zone. It includes a little bit of the ocean space in case the students pull it up and their point actually goes out a little bit. So that is how you create the drop zones. I'm going to quickly create the rest, and I will be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back and I have created the other 6 drop zones, and you can see where they're at. It's a little tricky because sometimes you don't want to go too far into the other country, yet you need to cover your country. Africa actually was a little bit tricky for me. But I'm going to scroll down here and show you the drop zones. And the one thing I really need to emphasize is the way you write the coordinates. I thought this is too difficult when I started doing this, but after I played with it a little bit, it really wasn't that bad. You just have to remember what these numbers mean. The first number is how far in from the left. The second number is how far down from the top. And remember, that's where the upper corner will be placed. And then you tell it how big a box you want. So looking at South America, I wanted to go in 90 from the left, and I wanted to come down 240 from the top. I put a comma in between those values and then a semicolon, and then I told it the first number is how wide I want the box, and then the height of the box. And if you should change these numbers and you don't see the change on your map, just click refresh preview, and it will take a second or two and it'll come back and show you the changes, and then you can get a better picture. So I hope that makes sense. Your coordinates are representing how far in and how far down the upper left corner of the box will be. And then you do a semicolon, and then you tell it how wide and how high you want your box to be.